Hey guys, and welcome to this new video here. Sorry for posting it really late, but we're actually gonna take a quick look at today's recap here on 9/6 and the plan for tomorrow. So without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and take a look at ES over here. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to a smaller time frame. I removed all my lines here temporarily. And this is where we started the day over here this morning. Was a really nice drop. And we kind of broke below this 3,900 level, but it was kind of a trappy move. And I will show you here in a minute why I thought it was kind of trappy, like how they try to trap people. And came back up here, consolidated for a little bit, dropped back down, and after that it was a lot of a chop. So I'm going to go ahead and put my lines back on here and start moving on the daily. So I just had a little trend line over here connecting June 17th through the day of July 14th. And as we have two touches, it could form some sort of a support. And we can see over here that we kind of reached this area on the 6th yesterday. This is actually after 5 o'clock on Globix, so you wouldn't see this candle or this price action over here on SPY. But we kind of rejected here in this area here on the 6th. Now, we had a little kind of like we had drawn some fallen wedge here in this area, but obviously we broke through it, so I kind of switched it to a kind of like a downtrend channel, try to better help me decide when I will be willing to take the next move up. And so I'm going to actually move this puppy right over here, 3962. And I would say for tomorrow, with it being Wednesday, the main economic event that we have is that the FOMC member Mister is going to be speaking at 10 in the morning. And that could probably cause a little bit of volatility. But with it being Wednesday, aka chop day usually, so I don't really expect a whole lot. But anything could happen. And so to the upside, I really would like for ES to claim the 3900 area and even claim the 3920 if at all possible. And if that happens, we could probably move upwards of 3940 and even upwards of 3960 or 3963. Really, if we break this area is when we can start saying that, okay, we broke this downtrend channel and we have higher chance of hitting this 3990 and probably upwards of 4,000 or probably upwards of 4017 even if that broke. But I don't know if that's going to break tomorrow, to be honest. But this is basically the plan based on the levels that we have, because as you guys can see here on the chart, we have lower highs and lower lows. And this is the last lower high that we have made over here at around 3963. Actually, it's a little bit higher, 3964 almost, or 3963.25. And so the break and hold above this high is going to say, okay, well, we're breaking up outside of this downtrend channel and we can continue moving upwards. And the next target I have it here as 39.86. It's because previously this area showed some, some interest over here, as you guys can see, rejected the price here once and here again. And so we could probably see some kind of a reaction here, but if we broke right through it, then the top is going to be the target. Now, as far as the downside, as you guys can see, the 3900 was somewhat of an important level, this area over here. If we can extend this little support zone from previous times, as you guys can see, back in July and again in July and on July 26th. And finally, in the beginning of September, we rejected here, came back, rejected again, came back, we broke right through it, but obviously we did not, well, we kind of hold in, but we haven't seen that strong reaction that I was expecting. Honestly, I thought once we break this area over here, we probably see like a meltdown towards 38.70, even probably even 38.50, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. Um, I'm going to go ahead and switch over here real quick to the market net flow for today. As you guys can see here, when we started in the day, we were kind of like both calls and puts were above the zero line, and then the puts started increasing, and that's when this thing started dropping over here. And the interesting thing, though, is that the puts remained fairly higher than the calls, uh, even when we initially rejected at around, I would say, what was it, 38.90 area. So, but at that time, I was looking at the net flow over here, and I noticed as we broke the 3900 area, I noticed that the calls are picking up, even though they haven't crossed over the puts in this area, as you guys can see. Notice that these were picking up, and that told me that, you know, and the like you guys can see over here, the momentum for the downtrend move was actually dying off. And so I thought, okay, well, this looks like a trap. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take my money and run. And as a matter of fact, I switched to a call at that point. It was a cheapy call, but it paid off really well because I held throughout the whole move to the upside. But it's really important whenever you're watching this market net flow over here, to pay attention to these things. Like even though they're not crossing, you're not just looking for the cross of calls over puts. Let's just say you are in a put and you see like a move towards the upside here with the calls. Probably time for you to start thinking about securing your profit and leaving your position. Now, after what time was it? Around 11:44 Eastern, we had a bullish cross. The puts started dropping, as you guys can see, even though the price didn't really move much bullish, but the calls volume was actually holding steadily above the puts. And whenever we move down here to our market DEX, which is a cumulative delta, we see that today we printed a small green candle. That usually could mean that we will probably open with a gap up tomorrow, or chances are we're going to be moving up tomorrow, that we might have a green day. It's a slightly small candle. I wouldn't think too much of it, I would say. I mean, we could probably have a choppy day on Wednesday, just as expected, as usual. But then again, we can see, if we move back here to the chart, we can see that, this area over here is really like I really don't like this area all the way upwards of 39.63 because I think of it as the chop zone, this area. As you guys can see here, there's a lot of chopping happening over here, and I'm really uh, you know, not too excited for this area to say the least, moving to the upside. And as you guys can see, we have this resistance that we drew. As a matter of fact, it's not like 100% what I would like to see it as, but let's just say if we move it here, tip to tip, disregarding this little extra break up here, I would say we could probably see a move. We have a resistance at 39.20. If we break above it, we do have a chance to move another 20 points, but then you are facing another resistance. And even if we break it, we are facing another resistance over here at 39.20. So the targets that we're seeing here to the upside for ES are kind of like short and small. So I would say keep it at caps for tomorrow. Just, small trades, take 10, 20, 30%, whatever you can get out of it and run. Now, the opposite side, what we could probably see here is if we reach this area and reject and break below the 38.80, which is what we have here as a support, or even the 39.90. Let's just say if we claim it again, like if we move up and come back and claim it again, chances are we will continue to see 38.70, and from there we probably will see 38.56. It's not a huge move by any means. Yes, could drop all the way down to 38.20. But again, I'm not expecting the huge move yet, just because if we look at the daily over here, We've had one, two, three so far, one, two consecutive days. Pretty much we've been on a downtrend since, since we reached the top over here at around 43. We've had just less than a handful, actually just a handful of green days, and they weren't even awfully bullish, I would say. But over here, it would be interesting to see how the day closes tomorrow. Like if we close with a hammer on ES, that would be really interesting to see if we close with a hammer because that would, we could actually usher a move to the upside from there. Now, looking also on the daily, another thing that gets my attention over here is we have somewhat of a bullish divergence, regular bullish divergence, as you guys can see here on the daily from this bottom to this bottom over here, assuming this will become a bottom. But, divergences, it's not like saying here it's going to reverse right now because we're not really awfully sold on the daily. But it also tells me that, hey, pay attention. We're getting to the oversold area. We're getting to a region that we probably would see a bounce. And if there was a bounce, we could see somewhat of a bear squeeze over here. Especially, I would say, if we break above the 39.63, you know, that could actually usher somewhat of a short squeeze, kind of trying to move to the upside. Um, we're still technically bearish, but you know, you know what they do? They always come back and push the limits as much as they can. They trap bears and move it up. They trap bulls and move it down, and so on. So as of right now, I'm honestly more leaning towards the upside perhaps tomorrow. I really would love to see it break above 39.20. If we see that, it would be really interesting to try to get maybe, a small long, see if we can actually take it at about 20 points over here. And if that breaks with good momentum, we can see upwards of 39.60. To the downside, still we can, like I said, see if we move up here, reject in this area perhaps, and come back down, claim the 38.90, we could probably see the low of about 38.70 and maybe from there to 38.56. Now, moving on real quick, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Dixie. The dollar index, this puppy has been moving just like expected. I'm honestly thinking about opening a Forex account just so I can trade this Dixie. We are in highs that we haven't seen since 2002. And you know, we had very simple, nice cup and handle formation, as you guys see from my doodles over here. We broke above this resistance over here, upwards of 109.5, and I expect it to continue going. And if I wanted to see what's going to be my next target on it, it will be about I would say 111, maybe 111,489. And this might find some resistance over here in this area. This area showed some interest in the past, about 22, 23 years ago. But nonetheless, it will be considered from a technical analysis point of view a resistance, and we probably will see a reaction from there. Now, as you guys know, the likelihood of equities dropping when the US dollar going up is still highly likely. And so, we'll just keep watching Dixie as well as ES to try to see where the next level is going to be. One interesting thing I also want to look at tonight is Bitcoin. This puppy dropped and it was somewhat of a strong drop actually here when we're looking at Bitcoin. And we have an ultimate support down here at around 17.5. When you look at the chart as a whole, this thing is still in an overall downtrend channel. There is a chance, I know people probably think it's very unlikely, but from a technical analysis point of view, if we break that 17.5, there is a good chance we drop down to 16,000, and from there, the next support that I see is around 12,500 area. So, yeah, you can imagine what that will do. Um, you know, just the, the sheer amount of burnt money with this going down here is just unimaginable, to be honest. But at this level over here, it probably will be a good pick. Um, I will make it short and sweet tonight. I'm just going to take a quick look at oil. Just because I'm interested in the level where it's at, like in the live that never really got broadcasted. We said if we break below the $85, we definitely see it going down to the low 80s, maybe upwards of or downwards of 81, perhaps 82. And if we break below here, it probably won't be pretty for oil. It will be good for us consumers, filling up our cars and whatnot. But the low 80s, high 70s is definitely in the books if that happens. I would say I would mark my next level down right here. So this will be like a first target, and perhaps this will be the second target here for oil. But again, if we reject here in this area, we'll probably try to claim the $85 gain. This region over here in the high 80s, low 90s seems to be like a good region for oil. But again, you know, levels are levels. If you break it, it's going to test the one down, the one below it. And if you break above a certain level, we're going to test the level, you know, the next level up. And so, um, and I apologize, I'm really tired because I've been working nonstop for, almost 2 weeks right now, and it's been very tough on me at work. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. So if you like to trade oil, if you would like to trade oil, you can do so by trading UCO, this ETF over here, or you can trade the USO. Um, you know, we see potential probably for this thing going down to about $67.83. And the same thing here with UCO. We could probably see downwards of $31.13 and even all the way down to $29 or so. But that will require oil, obviously, break the levels that we talked about. But yeah, that's all for tonight. Tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have a good day trading, and hopefully, my thoughts here about breaking over 39.20 will happen and breaking outside of this region and go all the way to 39.60. We'll see how that goes. I will see you guys first thing in the morning. Thank you and have a great night.